Miesha Tate versus Cris Cyborg. Miesha Tate 18-5, the new women's UFC bantamweight champion versus the Invicta featherweight champion of the world, Cris Cyborg, 15-1. The breaking news coming across our desk is that this fight could take place inside the octagon. Miesha Tate is open to this fight. We know there's been so much speculation of if Cris Cyborg would compete in a UFC because of weight. Now, we have live from South Korea as President Obama, he hits North Korea with the hardest sanctions in United States history. Otto Warmbier, they said that he took a political flag in a hotel. He got 15 years of hard labor in North Korea. And Tommy Regenstein is just across from that. Look, let's get into this right now. We got to talk about it. Miesha Tate offered her victory against Holly Holm, the woman who knocked out Ronda Rousey cold in the second round. She beat her in a very competitive fight. In the fifth round, she hooked a rear naked choke to secure the women's bantamweight championship in the UFC. Remember, Miesha Tate was the bantamweight Strikeforce champion, so that makes her a two-time world champion. According to Fox Sports, Miesha Tate wants to be fighting in the octagon, and she's even willing to take on challenges Ronda Rousey has turned down in the past. Tate spoke during a fan question and answer in Australia on Friday when the question was raised about the potential showdown with Invicta FC featherweight champion Cris Cyborg Justino. Even before she was the UFC women's bantamweight champion, Tate said she'd be open to the idea of facing Cyborg, and having the title newly around her waist hasn't changed her mind on the matter. I've been hearing rumors on something that supposedly she's coming to the UFC, but I've been hearing it for such a long time, I just don't really know. I don't have that confirmed, but I am open to the fight, Tate said. Maybe doing it at a catch weight of 140. I have nothing but respect for Cyborg. She freaking eats girls for breakfast. She's so amazing. I'm open to that fight. Maybe doing it at a catch weight at 140. I have nothing but respect for Cyborg. She freaking eats girls for breakfast. She's so amazing. Before Tate was champion, Cyborg had long been rumored as a potential opponent for Ronda Rousey, but that fight never came to fruition. The sticking point was always about the weight, as Rousey has often accused Cyborg of performance-enhancing drugs use and demanded that the Brazilian get down to 135-pound bantamweight limit for the fight. Cyborg has made attempts to shed the weight necessary to get down to a lower division, but she's a massive fighter who oftentimes walks around 20 to 30 pounds above her current fight weight of 145-pound featherweight, where Rousey wasn't willing to budge an inch. Tate is more happy to concede the size and power advantage to Cyborg, along with a smaller concession regarding the weight class if the UFC ever actually wanted to make the fight happen. It's like, what do I have to lose in that fight, Tate said. I go out there and give it everything I have, and I'm able to take out Goliath, then I'm good. I would love to step in there with someone of her caliber. Cyborg was actually been rumored as a possible candidate for a fight at UFC 198 in Brazil, with the upcoming card taking place at a 40,000-seat soccer stadium in Curitiba. I apologize for that. Whether her UFC debut would happen at UFC 145 pounds or another weight division is unknown, but Cyborg has campaigned for the shot in hopes of not only fighting inside the octagon, but also competing in her home country for the first time in many years. As far as a potential showdown with Tate goes, It's not likely the UFC will put their champion in a catchweight fight anytime soon, but it appears the new queen at 135 pounds is willing to accept the challenge if it is ever offered. Tommy Regenstein live in South Korea. What do you think of this bout? Speculation.
I don't think that Cyborg can make the weight. I just don't think it's possible. They said it was a hard time for her to make weight at 145. And that Dana White was saying, yeah, she can fight Ronda Rousey when she makes the weight. And they didn't think that she could make the weight, so Ronda Rousey never fought Cyborg. So for her to drop below 145 and go 140, I don't see that happening. I just don't. I mean, we've always heard all these things about Cyborg, Cyborg, Cyborg throughout the years. And that Ronda Rousey was supposed to fight Cyborg, and they were never able to match it up. Now they're saying that she's going to fight Miesha Tate, who's not as popular as Ronda was in her heyday, but she's going to fight Miesha Tate at 140 below 145. I don't see that happening at all. I just don't. I don't think that she's going to make the weight. I don't know if she'll pass the medical exam and all that stuff, dude.
First and foremost, Tommy Regenstein, I have to unequivocally agree with you for that bout to take place at which would have been a catchweight, because remember when Tito Ortiz was representing her, he said it was impossible for Cris Cyborg to make 135. So now you're talking about 140. Cris Cyborg said so many times in the past that she would be able to do 140, but it has not happened yet. 20 to 30 pounds over the 145-pound limit. Now that's hard. Listen, she only lost her first fight. She's 5-0 Invicta. She's the featherweight champion. And to December the 17th, 2011, she tested positive for anabolic steroids, Regenstein.
Yeah, and the UFC has the hardest, you know, steroid checks. So I just don't see it happening. If she is on steroids now and she gets off steroids, well, she will lose some weight. She will lose some power and she will lose a lot of strength and endurance. She's going to drop down to 140, not be on steroids. I don't know, man. This sounds too far fetched. Me and Conor McGregor fought at welterweight, so anything can happen. But I just don't see it happening, Don.
Flying Regenstein live on Into the Arena Uncut that Cyborg Justino may be on steroids.
Yeah, I think she could definitely be on
Wow.
steroids. Nate Diaz said everyone's on steroids. He said Connor's on steroids, and Connor's like, "Don't put my name in that. No, no, don't put my name in that." And they said he's on steroids. So, the accusation of steroids is always being thrown around. And for Cyborg not to be able to make 145, I mean, she's not a bodybuilder. I mean, she's a cage fighter still.
You're saying 135.
For her to make 145 and fight Ronda, remember that? Like, she was supposed to fight.
135, 135, because Ronda's at 135.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. 135 to fight Ronda. But, I don't see it, Don. I just don't.
I don't see it either. And I think we covered all bases on that. Razorstein, tell us, because you are a avid, adamant supporter of Ronda Rousey. Can you? A lot of people they want to hear a little bit more on what you got to say about the rise and fall of Ronda Rousey.
Well, I don't see how Ronda can ever get back into the game like she was,
Oh my God.
because there was a certain period in time where Ronda was, was reigning supreme, and she was supposed to get the training camp, and she was supposed to get the help that she was, you know, that was around her. But it never happened. I mean, she was supposed to get, practice with great wrestlers, and it just never happened. She was supposed to develop a single or a double, never happened. She was supposed to get, good boxing skills, never happened. Or like, a right a way to work in and cut off angles. Never happened. She was working with the best people, showing her great moves, and she still stayed one dimensional after all this. Now, yeah, she did get a knockout, and she was able to mix up some of her MMA, but for the most part, she stayed one dimensional. She never shot in, she never closed the distance properly. She went forward recklessly and never had to deal with a counter striker. I thought that they were working with her, during this time of her greatness with, Olympic wrestlers showing her takedowns. How come she never learned a takedown? I mean, yes, she had a judo clinch and she threw, and that's considered a takedown. But what I'm talking about is like a George St. Pierre single to a double or a straight double, a single to the cage and press against the cage. Never happened. Why? Why didn't they ever work with her on cutting the right angles instead of chasing? Never happened. So at this point in time, I thought that this was all happening and occurring, but it just wasn't. I don't see how Ronda will ever be champ again because there's a game plan on how to beat her, and that was the fall. The fall was, she had these people around her telling her that she's great and she's wonderful and she's doing awesome, and she was going on Ellen, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, you're wonderful, you're great," and then she went on Ellen and cried. Like one day she's going on Ellen, they're telling her she's wonderful. Next day she's going on Ellen, she's crying about how everyone said that they hate her. It's sad, man. It's really really sad. So the fall was Rhonda, was surrounded with people who she thought were developing her, and she wasn't getting the right training camp, the right partners, the right sparring, the right sessions, the right people, and it seems to be happening with the women too. Holly Holm, they were saying, "Oh yeah, you're great." And she wasn't getting the right training.
Wait a minute. You're actually wait. I
Right.
want to say this about Ronda. Um, she seems to have Miesha Tate's number. Do you believe if that fight is made that she would be able to beat Miesha Tate?
You know what? Misha looked so good in her last fight. She did so well on coming up with a game plan for beating Home that she definitely has a better chance at beating Ronda this time. If there's any chance that she has in her life, it's when Ronda's down right now, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically,
Wow.
and trying to come back. If there's a time where Misha's going to win, it's going to be now, where this is the first time that Ronda's going to have to overcome, a loss like this and get her belt back. And, the rate of getting your belt back is so fucking low, Don. It's just
Yeah,
really the
excellent.
amount of people who come back and
Yeah,
try to get the belt back, just fail all the time. Rampage stood up there and screamed and said, "I want my belt back," and you know what? He never got it back, and it just changed hands ever since. And him, and many, many, many other people, as soon as they lose that belt, they can't get it back. Frank Yeager, wanted his belt back, fought hard, tried to get it back, never got it back. Many people. So it's the rate is very, very low. George St. Pierre got his belt back. Randy got a belt. He won's lightweight, light heavyweight, then got a heavyweight, but that that doesn't happen too often. Um, I don't see Ronda mentally coming back the way she was. I don't think we'll ever see the same Ronda ever again.
It's hard for me. I know people always ask me for a prediction. They ask me for a prediction all the time, and Ronda seems like she has Tate's number, but with a improved game plan and how good Tate has looked, you're right, Tommy. I don't want to make it official with the Ronda Rousey Tate situation until they make the fight happen in the training camp. But with Tate having movement, and that seems like that's all she would need is that movement to catch Ronda a couple of times, and if that could be enough to make Ronda question, why am I in this octagon again? And Tate could be victorious, but if Tate, the only problem I have with Tate initiating the clinch is that it plays right into Ronda's strongest point. So Tate would have to beat Ronda on the feet and be careful about the wrestling.
Tate fought a very, very smart fight against Holm. I mean, she really worked the angles really well and didn't fall into any of Holly Holm's tricks or anything like that. So I thought that was great that she could figure out how to do that, and she might be able to figure out how to beat Ronda. If there's a time where she's going to beat Ronda, it's going to be now. She has the belt, and Ronda wants the belt back.
You know, a lot of people have questioned Ronda Rousey and Edmund. That's her head trainer, and then her relationship with Travis Brown. Ronda has not been in training. She has not made any improvements since the home fight. We're getting the same old thing, it looks like, if she is going to stay active with Edmund. I have to agree with you, Regenstein. Ronda, and even in her interviews, it seems like she's not 100% confident of getting back in there. But we're hearing that November to December could be her return. Dana doesn't want to lose another blockbuster matchup. I mean, he lost Holly Holm versus Ronda. I don't think that he wants to lose Miesha Tate. So he's probably going to have to hold Tate off until Ronda returns. Ronda has Tate's number, but Tate has the best chance of defeating Ronda at her lowest point. So it is a fight that Ronda could win, but we would have to see.
You know, Holly just isn't marketable either.
Oh, she looks like a
And
man. The bitch look like a man.
yeah, and so she's not marketable like Misha is or Ronda is, and Cyborg is ah, she's not marketable at all.
Cyborg was caught on anabolic steroids, and she looks like a man.
Yeah, I mean, if she has a hard time getting down to Bantam at 135, she may be able to make 140, but I doubt it. I just doubt it. Yeah, thank you for correcting me on that. I've been doing so much Conor McGregor and talking about it 145.
Well,
Thank you.
I thought it was the whole North Korea situation. You're right over there. They're testing ballistic missiles. Any information?
You know what? If Donald Trump becomes president, I really am scared. Now, I never said that before, Don. I've always said, "Oh, I don't care about North Korea. It's okay. It's no problem." Even when North Korea was saying they were going to shoot rockets in my city in Seoul and like rain down rockets at 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. It's not going to happen." But if Donald Trump becomes president, I'm afraid of what will happen. Seriously, because him talking shit to everyone, I don't think he'll be able to tolerate, Kim Jong Un talking shit, and that he could cause a war right in my fucking backyard. And I don't want that shit at all, man. I don't want a war in my own backyard. You know, I live here. And, you know, when Kim Jong Un starts talking his shit, a lot of people get pissed, and they really don't know the difference between North and South too much, and they just want to shoot rockets over here. No, 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 no. Let's figure this out. You know, before it's a battle of talking shit and shooting rockets at each other. So that's what has me nervous about that.
Wow. For all the fans of Enter the Arena, we want you to go on Enter the Arena like page. How do you do that? You just type in Enter the Arena on Facebook, and then it'll come up and you can like the page. It has over 150,000 people on there. We do celebrity, MMA, WWE, boxing, everything. We're covering everything. Politics. We got up there Donald Trump in the protest. And definitely subscribe here. We're covering MMA every day, and we want you to subscribe to Regenstein Live. Tommy Regenstein has his own channel where Tommy Regenstein is doing politics. He's doing MMA. He's teaching German, right? Doing a lot of things over there. So for D. Donwall Banks and Tommy Regenstein, thank you. Peace.